There was a woman in my husband's shirt, and she didn't realize she was visible. I wasn't supposed to notice. Not through the tiny reflection on the black edge of his laptop. But I did. And once you see something like that, you can't unsee it.
Hi.
My name is Amber, and I wish I could tell you this is the first time something fell off. But it wasn't. It was just the first time I had proof. We were on a video call while he was on a 3-day business trip in Denver. He was half-shaved, grinning too much, his hotel room background slightly dim. I asked him something casual about the kids. He answered like he always did, a little too slow, a little too polite. Then I saw her. Just a blurry figure behind the laptop screen. Bare legs. One of his shirts. Moving past the window with no panic. Like she belonged there. I froze. He didn't notice. Or maybe he didn't care. When I asked who else was in the room, his voice sharpened. It's just a colleague. She stopped by for project notes. Relax, Amber. Relax? I said nothing. Not then. Not when he texted later. Not even when he flew back. Because I already knew who would be waiting for him in the kitchen the moment he walked through that front door. And when he saw her, he dropped to his knees. He didn't even take off his shoes when he walked in. I was standing at the sink, drying a dish that was already dry. His suitcase thudded on the floor behind him. Then silence. He called out my name once, lightly, like nothing had happened. Then he walked into the kitchen and saw her. His entire body stopped. His face turned pale. The corners of his mouth twitched like he was about to say something, but forgot how. Then he dropped, right to his knees on the tile. The woman he saw sitting at the kitchen table wasn't me. It was my sister, Layla. She stared at him like she'd been waiting all day.
Calm.
Legs crossed. Coffee in hand. She'd flown in the night before from Portland. What he didn't know was that Layla had once worked with him at his company. Years ago, before we even dated.
And she'd warned me. Twice.
I ignored her. I chose him. Now she was the one sitting in our kitchen, watching my husband fall apart at the sight of her. I didn't move. I didn't say a word. I just watched. Because this wasn't my performance anymore. This was his. And whatever Layla had come to say, he was going to hear it before I said a single word. Layla didn't raise her voice. That wasn't her style. She simply stirred her coffee with a tiny spoon I never used, then looked up at him like she was addressing a colleague, not the man who just betrayed her sister. You remember Madison? She asked coolly. Intern. Brunette. Summer of 2021. His lips parted slightly, but no sound came out. His knees shifted on the cold tile. She's married now. Has a daughter. You broke her. Just thought you should know. I stood still at the sink. I hadn't heard this part. I didn't want to interrupt. He finally managed to speak. Amber, this isn't fair. Layla cut him off. You don't get to say her name. Silence. I looked at him. Really looked. It wasn't guilt on his face, it was panic. Not the kind you feel when you hurt someone you love. The kind you feel when you're finally caught. When the game ends. I told her you were married, Layla continued. You said you were separated. That Amber had problems. That you were only with her for the kids. She leaned forward. You play that story a lot, huh? His mouth opened again, but this time I walked away. Past him. Past Layla. To the hallway. I picked up the envelope I'd left on the console table. The one he hadn't noticed yet. And as I walked back into the kitchen, I placed it silently in front of him. He stared at it.
And blinked.
He didn't touch the envelope. Just stared at it like it might explode. His fingers hovered above it, shaking slightly. I didn't explain. I didn't need to. Inside was a printed email chain. Screenshots.
Hotel receipts.
One photo, the one from a video call, zoomed and sharpened, showing her figure in his shirt. And finally, the updated copy of our post-nup agreement, signed just 3 days before he left for Denver. He had no idea I'd quietly asked for that agreement months ago. He thought I was just being mature about finances.
But now?
Now that envelope could cost him everything. This isn't, he started, voice raw. Layla cut in again. You were never careful. You just thought she'd never stop trusting you. I leaned on the counter. My voice was calm, maybe too calm. I'm not asking for an explanation. I'm just giving you the respect you never gave me, clarity. He finally opened the envelope. I watched his face shift with every page. His jaw clenched when he hit the postnup. That was the moment he realized, I hadn't left this to chance. This wasn't a dramatic fight. It was removal. A slow, clean erasure of him from my life. Documented, witnessed, signed. He looked up at me, finally, eyes wide with a mix of fear and disbelief. You planned this. I looked at Layla, then back at him. No, I said. You did. He stood up slowly. Not to fight, but like a man realizing the house had already burned down, and he was only now smelling the smoke. His voice was hoarse. Amber, this is our family. You can't just… Just what? I asked. Protect myself? Prepare for what you already did. He glanced toward Layla like she might jump in, but she simply sipped her coffee, ice cold now, and stared at him like she'd seen this play out too many times before. I never wanted this to explode, I said. But you turned your promises into weapons. And the worst part? You were lazy about it. Careless. You didn't even try to lie well. He opened his mouth, but nothing came. I stepped closer, calm. My hands didn't shake anymore. That postnup? You signed it when you thought I was being generous. It ensures the house, the savings, and full custody go to me in the event of infidelity. Your name's on the lease. Hers isn't. His face twisted. He knew what I was saying. Legally, emotionally, logistically. He'd already been replaced by his own signature. But I wasn't finished. She can have your shirt, I whispered. But I'm keeping everything else. Then I slid my phone across the counter, screen unlocked. A single email draft was open. Subject line: to HR concerning Matthew T. and travel conduct. I haven't sent it, I said. Yet. He didn't touch the phone. Just stared at it like it was a live wire. His hands twitched, but he didn't move. I could see the sweat forming above his eyebrows, the same way it used to before big investor meetings. But this time, there was no pitch to save him. Just consequences. You're not serious, he finally muttered. You wouldn't. HR would. HR would investigate. Quietly. Then check travel expenses. Room records. Hotel cameras. I tilted my head. Do you really want to gamble that none of them saw her walk in at midnight in your shirt? He rubbed his face like he could somehow wipe the moment away. Layla stood up now. Slowly. Calm as ever. She gave you options, she said. Silence, dignity, privacy. You kept pushing. I could tell he wanted to yell, to flip the table or throw a chair. But something held him back. He looked smaller now. Like someone had deflated the version of himself he used to perform. What do you want from me? He asked. I stepped forward, picked up the phone, and calmly locked the screen. Nothing, I said. You'll get the lawyer's details by morning. I suggest you check into a hotel. Maybe the same one you booked last week. I hear they're very discreet. Then I placed a small box on the table. His wedding ring. Polished. Removed. Return this when you become the man you pretended to be. He didn't speak for a full minute. Just stood there, jaw clenched, ring box untouched, silence stretching between us like a canyon. Layla had already stepped out, quietly. She knew this part wasn't hers. Amber, he said, voice lower. I messed up. I know I did. But we can work through this. We have kids. There it was. The final shield. The we have kids card. But I was ready. Exactly, I said. That's why I'm doing this cleanly. Quietly. Without courts. Without news feeds. But if you push me… I tapped the locked phone now in my pocket. I pushed back. His expression hardened. I saw the shift from panic to bargaining. From guilt to calculation. He stepped closer. You really want to blow it all up because of one mistake? I tilted my head. This wasn't one mistake. This was a pattern I finally saw clearly. Then I stepped forward and whispered. The woman in your shirt? I don't even care who she is. But someday, she'll watch you do this again. Same lies, same half-truths, same helpless look. And she'll realize I was the lucky one. His breath caught in his throat. "I'll have someone come for your things," I said softly. "Don't knock." Then I walked out of my own kitchen, and as I passed the hallway mirror, I caught my reflection. Not broken, not numb, just free. 3 days later, a moving service picked up his things. I didn't see him. I didn't need to. He emailed once, a short, vague apology with no subject line. I didn't reply. Layla read it over my shoulder and just muttered, "He still doesn't get it." He didn't. Because this wasn't about cheating. It was about erosion. The kind that wears down your self-trust slowly. A late reply here, a dismissive joke there, a deflection wrapped in kindness. It had taken me years to notice I was shrinking in a house I'd built.
But now?
The house felt mine again. The kids asked once where he was. I answered honestly. He made choices that don't fit in our home anymore. And they understood, not because they're wise beyond their years, but because kids feel safety. They feel truth. A month passed. Then 2. I found a rhythm. Layla flew home. The kitchen stayed clean. My phone stayed quiet. Until one night, 2:07 a.m., a knock. Not the front door. The back. I turned on the light. There he was. Same shirt. Same eyes. Same desperate look. But this time, it didn't shake me. I didn't open the door. I simply slid the curtain closed and whispered to myself, "You gave that shirt away, remember?" And I walked back to bed, not alone, not broken, but peaceful. Because when he knelt that day, it wasn't grief. It was the end of his game.